I know it may seem crazy, but the 2021 Formula 1 season is about to enter its latter stages, so I just wanted to take a brief moment from the technical content to let you know what I think it's going to happen in the title fight. Hey, what's going on everyone, Vasco here, and let me know in the comments down below who you think will be the 2021 World Champion. Let's go. Okay, so this video is being shot right before the 2021 Turkish Grand Prix, which means there's about 7 rounds to go, and it was just announced before the Turkish Grand Prix that Lewis Hamilton will actually take a 10-place grid penalty for a new internal combustion engine to his Mercedes, which should put Lewis and Max in about equal footing because they both have taken an engine penalty. And it's been an amazing championship in 2021. It's been one of the closest battles we have ever seen. We have seen great racing, we have seen crashes, we have seen tension on track and off the track. It's been amazing. But there can only be one champion, so in this video I'm going to tell you who I think will be the driver and team's champion for the 2021 Formula 1 season. Okay, so right now, even though Lewis Hamilton is in front in the standings, I think it's advantage Max Verstappen. And this is because Max Verstappen actually took his engine penalty and he took a full engine, whilst Lewis is only going to take an internal combustion engine. So if you don't know, the Formula 1 power unit is composed of various elements, and the internal combustion engine is just one. It's basically the main component. It's where the cylinders are and the combustion happens, but Lewis is basically keeping all of his electronics until the end of the season, whilst Max actually used the opportunity to take a full engine and with all the electronics. And in my opinion, this makes a lot more sense because if you think about it, Lewis will only have a new internal combustion engine, but the electronics have been degrading for a lot of races now, whilst Max has everything brand new. And if you were going to take a 10-place grid penalty for an internal combustion engine, well, in my opinion, you may just well take the 25-place grid penalty for the whole engine, because imagine that Lewis qualifies and, let's be real, in Turkey, P2 or P3, because I think it will be Max Verstappen on pole. Well, if he qualifies on P2 and P3, he will be getting into P12 or P13, and after P12 and P13 there are only a lot of slow cars, and I think that starting in 20th, I think Lewis could have made an easy way of passing those cars and get to P12 or 13 by the end of lap 5 or 6, so I think he should have taken the full engine penalty and not only the internal combustion engine. And one of the things that makes me say that this is advantage Max Verstappen is that Max has already taken the full engine penalty, so he won't need any more engine penalties unless his engine blows up, but he took it in a race where he finished P2, so okay, he was very lucky with the rain. He was going to probably finish about P7 or P8 just before the rain hit, but he managed to finish P2. So Max took a race where he would be in a real disadvantage to Lewis and just wound up in a race where he was just 1 place behind Lewis and in 2nd place and still in the 2nd step of the podium. So I think Max did a great job in damage limitation, and I think that this could be the defining moment of the season, because if during the 2021 Turkish Grand Prix Lewis doesn't do as good a damage limitation job as Max did, he will really be on the back foot in terms of both the engine and the points, because Lewis will not only not have the full engine, but he will also be behind Max on points if he doesn't finish in P2. So I think that Mercedes really took a very bad strategic decision with the power unit components, but let's see how it pans out. So here are my predictions. I think that Mercedes will win the team's championship and that Max Verstappen and Red Bull will win the World Drivers' Championship. So now let's take it one by one and start to explain why I think this. Okay, starting with Mercedes and the World Constructors' Championship. I think that Mercedes is a very solid team with a very solid foundation, and you see that from the 7 double championships that they won back to back to back. And I think that this not only shows how consistent they are, but how good they are under pressure and under a championship pressure. And right now, in the partnership that they have in Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas, they have 2 incredibly quick and consistent drivers, which is something that Red Bull doesn't really have, because even though Max is incredibly quick and Sergio is also very quick on his day, they are not consistently quick, especially Perez. So you can probably count that if Max starts a race from pole without any strategic or rain intervention, he will probably win that race even if Lewis finishes P2. But with Sergio, the story has not been that good, and I think that Sergio is really on the back foot with Red Bull, and I think he really needs a win or a good result at least, or a podium, in order to get this season underway, because I think that Sergio, after that win in Baku, which was really handed to him by Max, I think he's been on the back foot and there's not been the number 2 driver that Red Bull needed, because is very often behind Valtteri Bottas, which means that he's losing points, and he's not very often in a strategic point where you can just hold up the Mercedes and then help Max win a race. So I think Sergio is not doing a very good job. He's a great driver, but it just comes to show how tricky that second Red Bull car is to drive. So due to the consistency, I think that Mercedes will have an advantage, even if I think that Max will win the World Drivers' Championship, because I honestly think that Max will win the championship and will score more points, but I think that the consistency of both Mercedes drivers will in the end give them the Constructors' Championship for the 8th time in a row. Okay, but now for what you're all here for. Who I think will win the 2021 World Drivers' Championship is Max Verstappen, and this is for a couple of reasons. So reason number one is that I think Max really wants his title. I think Max is willing to fight his title to the end, and I think he's just edging out Lewis over the course of the season, and even though Lewis is in front in the standings, I think that Max is driving with more anger and with a little bit more consistency than Lewis, and he's just not making a lot of mistakes except when they crash. So the two crashes at Silverstone and Monza can really be considered mistakes from both drivers, but I think that overall, discounting those crashes, I think that Max is being more consistent than Lewis over the course of the season. I know that this is not entirely Lewis's fault. Sometimes the team has failed, the strategy has failed, or the car has failed, but still, I think that Max is being the most consistent, and I think that this combined with my second reason, which is Red Bull's upgrade path, will end up giving the championship to him. So talking about the second reason I think that Max will win the championship is really Red Bull, because I think that Red Bull for the first time in the turbo hybrid era are in a place where they can really win a championship on pure pace. And I think that even though teams are now focusing on the next season's 2022 cars, which will be completely different, Red Bull will not let this go and can even consider sacrificing a little bit of the 2022 development program in order to help Max win this championship. And there are a couple of reasons behind it. So firstly, I think it's a pride reason, because they won 4 straight championships and then Mercedes wins 7. And I think that they want to prove to the world that Red Bull can win a championship in the turbo hybrid era with these regulations before the 2022 shakeup, where we don't really know where Red Bull and Mercedes will be. And the second reason is that I think that Red Bull really want to win a championship with Honda. They really want this last year to be their championship winning year, because you can't forget that even though Honda is pulling out of Formula 1, the engineers working on the Formula 1 on the engine don't want to leave Formula 1. They want to be there forever and they want to win a championship. And I think that both Red Bull and Honda are giving that all in order to win the 2021 World Championship. And I think that they want to go out with a banger, and they really want that this new Red Bull and Honda partnership that continues into the future of road cars to become really strong with a World Championship. And you can see the dedication that Red Bull and Honda have by the new livery that Red Bull are running this weekend, which hopefully won't jinx the race result. But you can see that Red Bull and Honda are really focused on winning this championship, and I think that a team like Mercedes, a team like Ferrari, McLaren, whatever, will stop bringing developments about this or the next round, because they really want to focus their full development programs on the 2022 car, especially with the budget cap and with the wind tunnel restrictions. But I think that Red Bull want this championship so badly that they are willing to take a little bit of the time of the next year's project into this year's project to make this car better and to ensure that Max wins the championship. So the combination of Red Bull really wanting this championship and really prioritizing one driver over the other, which is something that Mercedes doesn't tend to do as much, and the fact that both Red Bull and Honda want this championship and will not stop bringing parts until the championship is won, this is why I think that Max Verstappen will win the 2021 World Drivers' Championship. And I know that this video is getting really long, but I just want to throw in a little curveball. The 2021 World Drivers' Championship cannot be as simple as we are all thinking. So I think that Lewis or Max will win the championship. I think Max, but there are a few curveballs getting to us to the end of the season, which are called McLaren and Ferrari, that may shake things up, because if you see McLaren and Ferrari's performance over the last couple of races, they have been getting wins and podiums. And this is something that won't end up giving any of those the championship. They're just too far behind, and the Mercedes and Red Bull car are really much faster. but I think that Ferrari and McLaren can get in the way, and whilst you were used to seeing a Lewis and Max 1-2 in any order, you now may be looking at a Lewis Max 1-3 or a 2-4, as the McLaren and Ferrari are really getting in the way and they are really fighting for those podium positions on a regular basis now, and I think that this can have an effect on the championship standings, because right now you cannot just look at the race list and tell you who is going to win, Lewis or Max. You can put a McLaren or a Ferrari in the equation. But really quick, I just want to tell you off the top of my head who I think will win the next remaining races. So coming up we have Turkey, which I think it will be a Red Bull track, because it was really good for them last year, and even though last year they didn't win, the asphalt is much better this year, and I think that their car just suits the track, and Lewis has a 10th place grid penalty, so advantage Max Verstappen in Turkey. Okay, so after Turkey we will have the US Grand Prix, which I think will be a pretty easy Mercedes victory, because over the last couple of years their car has suited this track very well, with the long sweeping corners, with the fast straights, and I think that this is a track where Lewis Hamilton just excels, so I think advantage Mercedes in the USA. So next we go to Mexico, which I think and hope it's a race that Sergio Perez will win, but even though I don't think he will be the one winning because Red Bull will prioritize Max, I think that Red Bull have an advantage because the Honda power unit is normally better at high altitudes than the Mercedes engine because they have a bigger turbo, and so I think that this, with the more efficient aerodynamics from Red Bull, will make them win the Mexican Grand Prix. Okay, so falling next to São Paulo in Brazil is a race that I think Red Bull has a very good track record in, and I think it's a race that they will win easily because again it's at high altitude and it's a tight and twisty circuit, which I think will give Red Bull an advantage because their shorter wheelbase makes the car better on these kinds of circuits. Okay, now going to Qatar, I can't really predict this track. It could be a draw for all I know because it's a really tight and twisted track, but again it shares a lot of elements with the Bahrain Grand Prix, so I don't really know, but I will make a full predictions video and explaining the Qatar Grand Prix track once we get closer to the event. But honestly, I cannot tell. I have a feeling that Lewis will win because he normally is very good at adapting to new races, but let's see. Okay, so now going to Saudi Arabia, I think it will be advantage Red Bull because it's a tight and twisted track, and we saw what they could do at Monaco and Baku. They just dominated those races, so I think that Red Bull can have an advantage on those races. And finally for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, now this is also another one that I'm calling a draw, but I think that Mercedes have a slight edge, so even though Max won from pole last year, I think that Mercedes still have a slight edge on this track, but again there will be track modifications, so we cannot really talk about the strength of years past into this year, and a lot of the sections that will be removed are those tight and twisty sections where Red Bull were so good, so I think advantage Mercedes. So if you look into this quick predictions roundup, I think that Red Bull will win in Turkey, Mexico, Brazil and Saudi Arabia, and I think that Mercedes will win in the USA, in Qatar and in Abu Dhabi. So it will really be a close season, but in the end I think that by the slightest of margins Max Verstappen will win the World Drivers' Championship, but I think and hope that this will go until the last race. Please don't forget to let me know in the comments down below who you think will be the 2021 World Drivers' Championship and World Teams Championship. This has been it for this video, and if you enjoyed, why not watch my latest video on why Oscar Piastri is not going to get a seat in Formula 1 in 2022 and why that's such a crime. So this has been it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.